And I think that this narrative nationally, and this goes back to the relevance question about you don't need a college education.
Mm-hmm.
I strongly disagree, just because I know the trajectory of my life was completely changed because of Winthrop University.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what opportunities are out there with a degree until you have a degree.
And welcome to another episode of the Bandit Room. My name is Charles, and I'm joined here in the studio today by Mr. Caleb.
Hello again.
Thanks for joining. Across the table from me, we have Mr. Aggie.
What's up?
Welcome aboard. And our special guest in the studio today, we have Winthrop University President Edward Serna. You are the 12th president of Winthrop, former president of the University of Maine Farmington, former chancellor at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith, and former associate at Booz Allen Hamilton. You're a Winthrop alum, and you hold degrees from Winthrop, Clemson, Auburn, and the University of Alabama.
I'm exhausted just hearing all of that. That's just a lot.
Did I get any of that wrong?
No, none of it's wrong, but wow.
Did you miss
I've been
any?
busy.
Welcome to Rock Hill. You've
Well,
been here
thank you.
for a year now?
Yeah, just a little bit over a year.
Yeah? Oh,
yeah.
You were in Rock Hill before, about 20 years ago.
About, 2002 I was here.
2002.
Yeah.
All right.
Caleb, were you born then?
Yes.
Okay. We always be able to make
For
sure.
once.
Unfortunately, we don't have any Winthrop alums. You're the only Winthrop alum in the room right now.
Oh, that's so wrong.
I have a Winthrop connection, though. I will say my grandmother actually used to teach at Winthrop when it was Winthrop Women's College.
You get credit.
I get credit. Okay, I get some degree of it. But funny story, like my grandfather went to meet her at the time. This was like 1940s, 1950s. And they actually proposed to her right in front of the magnolia tree
Wow.
at Christmas time.
That's a great story.
Yeah. So cool. Now I just live down the street from it.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you go to Winthrop?
I did. Well, I went to Erskine, and it was sort of a family connection. My grandfather worked there for a while, and parents went there. So, yeah. So for our guest, Mr. Serna, could you provide an overview of your background information? So I went through the laundry list of all your degrees, your experience at this
Wow.
point. So what brought you to Winthrop?
Well, I was a student here. I think you already touched on
Yeah.
it. So I'll say this. When I originally came to Winthrop in 2002, I was what they call a non-traditional student.
Gotcha.
So what that meant was that I was over the age of 24. So I had bounced around a number of colleges, kind of some big name schools, which, looked really good on a sweatshirt, but were just not a great fit for me.
Gotcha.
Ended up in Rock Hill in 2002, and just everything clicked for me. Winthrop, the community. I spoke to an alumni, and we were talking about Winthrop, and he said, it's not just it's the right size, it's the right speed. And I felt like that really clicked for me. So I came back to Winthrop, came to Winthrop in 2002, found that connection, and everything just clicked in my life. And you ran through the laundry list of some of my stops along the way. So the opportunity to come back here when it presented itself, what was that? December of 2021. I get all the alumni emails, and so I went to a town hall they were having, a virtual town hall, and I'm like, I'm a sitting president at the University of Maine at Farmington. I'm a Winthrop alum. I have some ideas on what they should look for the next president. So I go to a town hall, and there were 3 of us. So don't advertise it as a town hall if there's only 3 people on the call. So I went from being like, kind of sitting in the back of the room to be an active participant in this discussion about, and I talked to my wife, and I said, we've always talked about going back to a school like Winthrop. And I said, but here's an opportunity, and it might not come up again, where I can actually go to Winthrop. Yeah. And after 3 Maine winters, she was ready to come back to the South. So she was enthusiastically on board. She said, South Carolina sounds awesome. So
drastically different.
Yeah,
weather.
just a little bit. Yeah. So just an exciting opportunity. It wasn't planned, but when the opportunity came up, you just got to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And describe the process. So when you became interested, you became aware of the president position was open at Winthrop, and then the process to get to where you are now.
Well, let me just tell you this. They make you work for it.
Yeah.
In a university presidency. Yeah. And I wasn't in kind of the search mode. I think a lot of presidents, or a lot of people are interested in being a president. They kind of prepare themselves. I was in no way prepared. I was a sitting president. They just extended my contract. But so I ramped up quickly, let's say.
Yeah.
So they put out a profile November, December timeframe, I think, just saying, here's what we're looking for. I reached out to the search firm, and things moved really quickly at Winthrop. I think, you have that first They had 150 applications for this job.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a little intimidating.
Yeah.
So from there, they go to like Zoom interviews. So they maybe 15 make the Zoom interview call, and then you get the call back. It's like, hey, we want to do an airport interview, which is they fly you in for one day. You fly in and out in a day, and you meet with the search committee, which for us was the board of trustees, and they just pepper you with questions, right?
Yeah.
They're asking you all kinds of crazy questions. And then if you get through that round, then you're a finalist, and they invite you, and there were 3 of us. They invited you to campus for 2 days with your wife, so your wife gets to enjoy that great experience. And you just go from event to event for 2 days. It's like running the gauntlet. It's like an endurance test, and everyone wants to talk to you and ask you questions. And then I guess it was February, so like I said, things happened really quickly. I was actually out walking our dog in the woods of Maine, and it was snowing, and I got the call from the search firm saying, they want to move forward. You're the guy. Wow. And I was like, whoa. So yeah, it moved quickly. But you know, the one thing I discovered is that I stayed at Maine until the end of June.
Yeah.
Never do that. Like never give a 4-month notice.
That was going to be my question. Was it like a standard 2 weeks?
You're just like, out.
You know, I know. So you become the lame duck president for 4 months. It was terrible. But yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what kind of issues do you encounter as a lame duck president in the university setting?
Oh, you stop being invited to things. Okay. You become a pariah in your community because you've turned your back on your institution.
Burning effigies of you or anything.
Yeah, it's like breaking up with somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to be spending 4 months with them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Long breakup. Gotcha. All right. Now, for our listeners who don't know about Winthrop University, could you give a brief overview of the school and what Winthrop means to you as an alum as well?
Sure. So I'll say this. I think we get, when people describe the school, and I could certainly do this, we talk about our degree programs or about our campus or about our athletics or about the number of students we have. We give you all these like bullet points, right? But that's not what Winthrop is to me. Winthrop is about the people and the relationships, if that makes sense, and the culture. And I know a lot of schools talk about family and talk about sense of community, but it just, as you kind of, at the beginning, you talked about all the places I've been. I've been around a little bit, and I've seen some different schools that claim to have that, but don't really have that. Yeah. So for me, you talk about the people, and for me, it starts with the students. We have ambitious, talented, engaged students that are just fantastic. Our faculty are phenomenal. They are engaged. They want to see our students be successful. We have staff that are just rock stars. I love working with them every day. That just make the university run. And then when it really all kind of crystallized for me is, we were talking before we got on there here that you were talking about move-in and about the students being back on campus. So what really spoke to me about culture this last move-in is that we had student organizations, our student athletes showed up. We had faculty and staff there to help parents move in. My senior team was all there, and we had 4 trustees that showed up. So I don't know a lot of universities where the chairman of the board is ferrying people back and forth in a golf cart from the parking lots. Or, we had John Brazel, one of our trustees, class of 93, drove up, took the day off from work in Columbia, drove up here and was moving students into the 3rd floor in Margaret Nance. So he was tired, but to me that just speaks to culture, right? You had everyone from students to trustees there welcoming the new students to our community. And to me, that's what Winthrop is. Yeah. And I can give you all the stats about the school if you want them.
You and your family were part of that too, right? The
yeah. Well, my children want to know part of it. Yeah. I've got a 13 and 8-year-old girl, and they weren't signing up for that. But yeah, my wife Lauren was helping too, just welcoming people in. And to me, that's what Winthrop is, and that's what I love so much about it.
Seems like it's just the right size as well to make that kind of community happen, because once you get into these sort of mega universities, I don't know how you even have
you lose it. You absolutely lose it. Or if you get too small, you don't have the resources. So Winthrop, it's kind of the Goldilocks situation, right? So we're a medium-sized university. So we want students that want to be actively engaged in their education, actively engaged in the classroom, actively engaged with like campus activities, take leadership opportunities, club sports. Right. We also want them out in the community volunteering and giving back to Rock Hill. And that's what we really have. And what I really love, we took a tour of our science building recently, and they were showing us equipment that if they were at a big research university, they could just look at as undergrads, but they're actually being able to work with PhDs on that equipment as undergraduate. We met a freshman that day, and she was working on the equipment. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's great. Awesome. Now, you mentioned that you graduated in 2002 and returned 20 years later. What's different about Rock Hill and Winthrop?
Well, just a little bit.
Break it down.
It's like,
Winthrop and then
Winthrop
what's
and
different?
Rock Hill. Yeah. So things you miss, or maybe things you're excited about with with everything that's going on now.
So I'll tell you what struck me the most is Rock Hill is no longer that sleepy little southern bedroom community, right?
Gotcha.
It's vibrant. The restaurant scene, the downtown, everything that's going on here was not here 21 years ago.
Right.
What surprised me, there's been construction at Winthrop University, but what really kind of took me back is that we're still a sleepy little college town. There's this disconnect that we haven't been on the same trajectory, I don't think, as the rest of Rock Hill. We haven't been engaged. We're not the vibrant community. I mean, Winthrop's wonderful, and it is, but it still felt like a small college, sleepy little college. And that's what we're working to change. Is we want that same vibrancy on our campus, and it's coming back, and that's what has me really excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are some big differences in Winthrop from when you were here and today? I've heard the term thrown around, suitcase school, where people are, they're here during the week and then they go home on the weekends and they're not really sticking around to build that community. Would you say it was more of that when you were here the first time, or?
Every regional comprehensive university like Winthrop that I've been at, whether it's in Arkansas or Maine, has always had that challenge.
Yeah.
Right? It's just because those kids come from that region. So it's really easy for them to go home on the weekend, have their mother do their laundry, get a home cooked meal. That's hard to compete with.
Yeah.
I still see it, but I walk our dog almost every night on campus, and there are a lot of students that are still there. There is still a lot going on at Winthrop on the weekends, and that's really encouraging. So, as the Knowledge Park and the Thread now coming online, as Derek Close brings that facility online, and we start having that storyline that connects downtown Rock Hill to the campus. I'm really hoping that students take advantage of the new food hall and the restaurants and the shopping opportunities and start saying, hey, I don't want to go home to my little town in South Carolina. Like, I'm going to stay here on the weekends.
Yeah.
So I think that's great.
Now, a lot of it probably also has to do with housing. A lot of students live off campus, and therefore, they may not be as tied to the university directly. We had Mayor Geddes on, and he talked a little bit about the storyline.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. That's an interesting feature that you're talking about. So sort of connecting Winthrop to downtown Rock Hill through new projects and things like that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So through the middle of campus, we have what's called the Scholars Walk. It's a beautiful brick, got the Winthrop flags. We are going to connect that to the storyline. So we are putting up new gates on that southwest corner of the campus that goes into the food hall and the event center and everything else.
Okay.
And that is going to seamlessly connect the university on a walking path directly to downtown.
Nice.
Now, what we've also done is we're going to have a big grand opening, I think in the next few weeks, for our new esports space in the Lowenstein building.
Oh, interesting.
So right down there, we've leased a new facility, housing it. Our esports club sports, our esports varsity team will be right there on that storyline going to downtown.
Okay. All right.
So just a lot of energy around that. But we're kind of getting outside of that little campus environment, and we're starting to move into downtown because we really want to be integrated into the community.
Right. To see Winthrop's presence in other areas besides Winthrop specifically.
Right. Some people don't even know we're there, which is crazy to me. So we got to fix that. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. If you're just driving through Dave Lyle or Cherry Road, you may not notice it unless you take the little turn there. Fascinating. Describe your vision for Winthrop's future. Now, you've done a little bit of that, but are there any particular initiatives you'd like to be pursuing?
So we are in the middle right now of a strategic planning process. Yeah. And one of the things that we've talked a lot about, and actually Gary Simmerl is leading that effort for us, is to be bold and to be disruptive and to be visionary. And all universities say they're innovative. None of them are innovative. But we've got to start being a little less risk averse and taking some chances. So we're looking at some degree programs that we maybe not would have looked at in the past. Okay. We're doing our market research. We're doing our due diligence to find things that'll be exciting. We're branching out into club sports. Because we want students to have also those opportunities outside the classroom. So we have cornhole team. We have the esports that we're really growing. Disc golf is big right now. So we're going in these areas that students are interested in. But for me, people ask, well, how will you know? How will you know when Winthrop University is kind of achieving what it wants to achieve? And I'll go to this, because I think it's also the biggest threat for higher education is relevance. So when Winthrop is part of the conversation and the first or second call that people make when there's something going on. So we're at the top of the list for students. We're at the top of the list for business leaders who want a higher ed partner. We're at the top when anyone's talking about trying to recruit new companies to come to Rock Hill. We're on that short list of places they call. And it's starting to happen, which I'm really excited about. But to me, it's that relevance question. Winthrop needs to be relevant. And we need to be top of mind for any of those opportunities.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, it tied into my next question.
Okay, perfect.
I was about to ask what your key indicators of success would be. And so it sounds like
it's relevance.
Yeah.
It's relevant. And this is one thing we're struggling with a strategic plan. In my entire life, I've always seen, whether it's in business or in higher education, we get caught up in a number. Well, here's the metric of success, right? And the rest of your house might be on fire, but man, if you got that number, then hey, thumbs up, you're doing a great job. If you do the right things and if you build the right culture, the numbers will be there. And to me, that part of it is just relevance. Are we relevant? Are we part of the conversation? Are we doing the right things that people want to partner with us, or they want to come here?
Gotcha.
Yep.
And when you say things like, "Are we doing the right things? Are we being relevant?" What does that look like in particular? I had a professor that used to say that the purpose of college is not necessarily to get you a job, but to prepare you more for life. What do you view the purpose of a university education?
So it's a combination.
Yeah,
it really is. And I think that this narrative nationally, and this goes back to the relevance question about you don't need a college education. I strongly disagree, just because I know the trajectory of my life was completely changed because of Winthrop University. You don't know what opportunities are out there with a degree until you have a degree. So I think we get fixated on what's that first job instead of what's that career or what's that quality of life that you're going to have. And when we can point to the statistics, like if you have a college degree, you're going to live longer. If you have a college degree, you're going to earn more. But you don't know what the opportunities are out there. And I think we've gotten wrapped around this narrative that, listen, a college degree isn't magic. It doesn't guarantee you. You're not entitled to success just because you have a degree. Like there's still a lot of hard work and sacrifice and risk taking, but it's punches your ticket so you at least have those opportunities. So, we all hear the stories. Well, they got a medieval history degree and now they're a barista, right? We all hear those stories. Well, that wasn't the only reason that they're on that path.
Right.
So, but college degree will open doors that otherwise will not be open to you.
How do you see that playing out as well? Because, lots of people are in fields. I feel this myself, where I'm in a role here. Aggie didn't ask me for my college diploma before he hired me.
I don't think I've asked anyone.
Exactly. So, I feel like it's added to my experience, added to the quality of work that I do, but I don't know that I didn't necessarily need it to get a job here or to succeed in a company.
Correct.
And the same thing goes for one degree versus another. People just view all 4-year degrees as the same.
Sure. Like it's become commoditized. Like a degree is a degree.
Yeah.
So, I have a unique perspective because I haven't been in higher education my entire life. There was a time, gosh, I guess it was about 10 years ago where I was still hiring college graduates fresh out of college for engineering jobs, to be an analyst, a business analyst or a logistician or whatever that career field was. Here's what I found. There was a huge difference when we brought in interns and they were younger versus the college graduates that had gone through an internship. And part of a college experience is, can you finish a task? Are you resilient? Can you get your assignments in on time? Can you do all those things that are necessary to be successful in business? Do you play well with others? Huge, right? Can you be in a team?
Yeah. Because
the biggest complaint I hear about 18-year-olds, it's all the soft skills. Be on time, all those things. Play well with others. And to me, the college experience exposes you to that, but so much more. Because you get the breadth of the education also.
So it's sort of a college education that emphasizes, like you were saying, the soft skills, or I used to hear, you get a job with your IQ and you keep it with your EQ, your emotional quotient,
it's
how you actually, acknowledge how you behave with others, what you were just describing.
Well,
because you could be brilliant, but if you're a jerk, then
no one wants to work with you.
I'll have to, maybe not strongly, but somewhat disagree with your statement a few seconds ago about the candidates with college degrees have learned some soft skills or whatnot because they were 4 years in college. Because we had a bunch of very high-end college graduates with degrees and even masters, and some of the
disasters. It's not necessarily an indicator of success.
Correct.
Well,
yes.
it's not magic, right?
Right.
Here's what I would say to that too, and I had a similar experience, Aggie.
Right.
So I was in Huntsville, Alabama. I was working in the aerospace industry.
Yeah.
And I was hiring, we were hiring for a time MBAs from a big name school. And they were so entitled and could not play well with others that we stopped. And what we did is we started looking at the regional publics, universities very much like Winthrop University, like the University of North Alabama, who had the functional skills, but weren't as entitled in a lot of ways and just played well with others. I remember we had an intern from Yale, and you would think, wow, disaster.
Right.
Right? But we had, but you know, it's individual, but sometimes I think the kids at regional publics, because they have those opportunities, are just a little bit, they don't expect it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, small businesses. Do you have a robust, integrated solution to efficiently and securely file your Form 1099, W-2, W-9, 1095, 94X forms, and more? Don't worry about creating a solution. Let Tax Bandits handle it for you. Tax Bandits goes beyond just tax form generation and e-filing. We also offer robust validation features to ensure accuracy and security throughout the process, with address validation and TIN matching. Tax Bandits is even SOC 2 certified. With Tax Bandits, tax calculations are automated, filling out your forms accurately and submitting them to the IRS, SSA, and states seamlessly, all within your account. Plus, we allow you to give your clients convenient access to recipient copies via postal mail or online access. Visit taxbandits.com today and join the ranks of successful business owners who are using Tax Bandits to e-file their tax forms.
So on that note, I'm off the track here, which is I'm gonna try to be very professional.
Let's go.
I'm a first-year college dropout. Okay, I went my engineering, and it was our current focus. Anyway, so here we are, and we've had quite a few ex-team members come through and gone who had degrees, but then we also still have quite a few great team players who probably just finished high school or even went to college. I think it all comes down to a lot of that to their upbringing, their surroundings, and what they want to achieve with their life as they grow and start a family and whatnot. Education, a college degree, I believe it's important if you're going to be in any specific field that it requires that degree. But I know Caleb is using his college education for what he's doing today, not when he started, but what he's doing today. I have no idea what Charles went to college for.
Business administration.
Business administration. Okay, so we got two, check mark here. But I've come across so many people who have no way of using what they went to college for. Do you ever think about that to tell someone if that's what you want to do in your life, you don't need to go to college? Do you never say that?
No, we do say that.
Okay.
So Aggie, I'll start with this. First off, the lens that we view things through is so influenced by our own history, right? So your experience was similar to mine. I dropped out of Emory University. I dropped out of some big name schools, right? Because it just wasn't a good fit. And I didn't know, I wasn't a first generation student, but I didn't have that social capital to understand what I was doing or why I was doing it. But to say all of that, and I've told this story before I came to Winthrop University, I was in management because I knew how to work with people, but I was working in a warehouse. I was a warehouse manager in Atlanta, okay? I come to Winthrop University, it clicks for me, and it opened up an opportunity. I went from here to Clemson, from Clemson to Auburn. I knocked out 2 master's degrees in 2 years. My next job is working for Booz Allen Hamilton, which at the time was, I think, top 4 consulting firm in the world.
Right.
And my client is NASA. Okay, you think that opportunity was going to be available to me if I didn't have a college degree?
Right.
I couldn't, looking 3 years back, I couldn't have said, this is where I'm going to go.
Right.
I'm going to go to NASA. This is exactly, I've got it all mapped out.
Right.
But that opportunity came up because I took those steps.
Right.
So it's, now is that everyone's path? No. Is that the formula for everybody? No. Now, on the second part of that, on the college debt, we think about it every day.
Right.
But
you're going through multiple colleges, multiple masters. Did that initially add any benefit to your life when it comes to finances and debt and how you can start a family and all that stuff?
No, and I will tell you this, anytime you jump careers. So I left a job in Atlanta. My first job coming out of, I was still at Auburn, I was working at Aflac. I made significantly less as a business analyst than I'd made it as a warehouse manager. Now, that was only the case for a few years, and then I eclipsed it by far.
Right.
Now, when I left being a management consultant in Huntsville for NASA and the Army, and I decided I'm going to go into higher education, my salary again was cut in half because I had to start all over as a mid-level administrator and climb my way up. But if you're passionate about it,
right, then
it works out. Now, the second time I made that jump, I had a wife and 2 kids, and the wife wasn't exactly thrilled about that career decision. But you got to do those things.
Yeah. Oh, before I forget, you both went to the same college, right?
No, different schools.
They're close together.
Anderson.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Anderson and Erskine. We bounced around the subject of college debt a little bit, and it's been in the news quite a bit recently. So there's obviously a lot of it, trillions of dollars in student debt. It's not getting forgiven. So,
well, even so, what is it now? 1.7 trillion. I think I saw the other day. It's crazy. And you're talking to somebody who, again, went to some expensive schools before it clicked in at Winthrop. I've got student loan debt I'm still paying off.
Gotcha.
The conversation we have: how many history majors become historians? Right. They go to law school, they go to graduate school, they do other things. So I don't know about linking it to your career discipline and saying, oh, well, here you go. But you have to be an informed borrower. Yeah. And I think that's where we've collapsed, where we haven't done the right things. Yeah. That financial literacy piece should be taught in high school, in my opinion, before they even get to a college campus. To understand, hey, this is an investment, but you're also in a way mortgaging your future because you're betting that the money's going to be there. And I have friends that went down to medical school now $400,000-$500,000 in debt. And if you drop out, you don't pass those. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it doesn't get forgiven.
It doesn't get forgiven. So all I can do, like as a university president, I can't fix that, right? But here's what we are doing. We do focus on financial literacy. In October, we'll be presenting to our board a new tuition model for Winthrop University where it's more transparent so parents can understand what they're paying for. And also, there's a little bit of a program fee structure there. So if you're in a major that costs more for us to deliver, you pay a little bit more than a major that doesn't. So we're doing our part, and we're doing everything we can to keep our courses, our costs low. But running a university is expensive.
Yeah. Interesting. You see a lot in the news today about new programs, things like ChatGPT, changing the way education operates. Would have been a pretty cool tool when I was in school if I could have just said, hey, could you write this paper about Moby Dick and change the, focus on these things, whatever. Have you played around with these tools? Are you familiar with?
So you're going to make me admit to this, aren't you? As a university president. Okay,
so that speech you wrote a few days ago.
Yeah. Actually, I did. We were working on the strategic plan, and I was synthesizing all of this information that I had pulled from other universities, right? Because our management consultants wanted me to come up with some things. So I kind of had my thoughts and bullet points, and then I grabbed some things that resonated with me that I'd seen other places, and I was trying to synthesize all that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. Yeah. And I did, and I was like, whoa. That is really cool.
It's impressive.
It is impressive, and you can kind of refine it by running it through the next few times. Here's what I think is really funny is that on some of the social media accounts like Yik Yak and stuff where students remain anonymous, students will be sharing on their hacks about, okay, don't just use ChatGPT, but you run it through like 3 different plagiarism softwares, and they can't track you anymore. I'm like, just write the paper.
It gets to a point you're doing too much work to avoid doing work.
Just do the work. But it is, it's evolving. And I'll tell you, I've been on calls with the other public university presidents in the state, and we're all talking about that. How are we going to manage this and how that's going to move forward? It's evolving so quickly. So we're tracking it. I don't know that we have a solution for it yet, but you hope the students, to Aggie's point, that they graduate with the skills and they haven't just know how to put it all through ChatGPT. They can actually write a coherent sentence.
Right. So your current role, college president, is one of the few jobs that sometimes includes a house. How are you enjoying that? Sitting there on Oakland Avenue.
You know, it has its advantages and disadvantages. I love it. I mean, the house is absolutely gorgeous. I love being able to just be part of the campus community, to walk around campus. You know, sometimes on a Friday morning, there might be some beer cans on the front porch where students just kind of want to enjoy the house on the outside. You know, but it's great feeling that connection to the community. And when I can walk the dog with my wife on an evening and run into students and they're like, hey, you're the president. We just have kind of these organic conversations with them and take a selfie and they see the dog. That's awesome. Yeah. That just kind of recharges my batteries. Now, one of the things we worried about, because it is a historic house, every president has lived there all the way back to Johnson. It was the number of antiques in the house. I've got an 8-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old cockapoo. They like to run through that house. So we had them put all that stuff in the archives. We kind of had to child-proof the house. Gotcha. But yeah, it's awesome.
Nice. So do you get like an allowance to change up things inside the house?
We do. There are some things that are a little, my 13-year-old daughter says they're a little dated. So we get a small allowance. And we've been talking about, because we do use it for events and for fundraising downstairs, you know, hey, let's kind of modernize it a little. And they're like, well, you know, hey, we changed that 12 years ago. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, what else do you do in your spare time when you're not running your university here?
Oh, gosh. Well, I am a big Star Wars fan.
Okay.
Did you guys see the latest episode of Ahsoka?
I haven't watched the latest
not last night.
You liking it? You liking Ahsoka?
You know, the first couple episodes were a little slow, but last night was picking up some steam, so I'm encouraged.
Oh, I didn't know. I should have done my homework. Watched Ahsoka. Cool. Are you watching Ahsoka?
I have been, I've been mostly enjoying it.
You haven't watched
mostly. Like, if you didn't watch Rebels, you're probably a little bit
I'm a little lost.
Yeah. So, you know, I love that. I love cooking, you know, for my ungrateful children who complain about how disgusting it is. My wife and I are enjoying travel right now.
Nice.
You know, we're, you know, kind of that thing, you want to travel while you're still young enough to enjoy it. And I didn't get to do that when I was younger. So we're kind of enjoying that now.
Nice.
So the house doesn't come with a maid and a cook and a driver and all that stuff?
That's me and my wife. Yeah, so, you know, we're enjoying travel. I love trying new food.
Destination?
So. We were just about a month ago, right before this. We went from like Lisbon, kind of Spain, and you know, that's kind of like our favorite spots. The food, the culture. I'm kind of in that Anthony Bourdain camp where like you experience a culture through the food.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm kind of an adventurous eater, which my wife is not thrilled about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that stuff.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I just did this Sunday.
Where'd you go?
Oh,
no, Monday. Labor Day.
Charleston.
I flew to Charleston to buy oysters, but I was too early, so I ended up buying nice crab legs.
Gotcha.
And then got back in the plane and flew back and we had crab legs on the dock.
Yo, you can't beat that.
I can't beat that.
You can't beat
great
that.
experience.
They used to call it the $100 burger. Now it's like
a
$1,000 crab leg.
It's still good though. It was a beautiful day to fly. So
it's not bad.
So like, I mean, I know you said traveling. What else are you into golf or are you doing other
I
stuff?
never picked any of that up.
Okay.
You know, I love, when we were in Maine especially, I loved hiking. We were so close to the trail, the Appalachian Trail, and there's so many great places. And just hiking in the Maine woods, it's like back to Thoreau, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just experiencing that. So I just love doing that. And I haven't found great hiking spots down here.
Yeah.
I'll go out to the Winthrop farm.
Don't you know some?
Well, maybe more like in the mountains.
Okay.
More in the mountains.
Yeah, not like immediately.
I can see those trails when I'm flying over the mountains. I know exactly where they are. So you went to Auburn, you went to Clemson. So which football team do you support?
It was a rough weekend at Clemson. You know, so my wife's entire family, she was born and raised in Alabama. They're all Houndstooth and Crimson.
Gotcha.
But, you know, I'm still a Clemson fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was my first Masters. It was my first big football school. So.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
My first college football game that I went to watch was Auburn.
Oh, yeah. The Plains.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's fun down
So I'm
there.
a Auburn fan.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
If somebody from Clemson had brought you, you might have been a Clemson fan.
I would have been, It would have been easier because my neighbors are all Clemson.
Easier to fit in
Hard to
around
be an
here.
Auburn fan around here.
Yeah.
Trying to fight with them all the time. And I don't keep up with, what happens. I'll watch the game, so I don't know who the new players are, whatnot. So they want to come and go, I'm like, dude, I don't know. Let's let the games start. We're halfway through, then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Are you into football, like NFL?
I was. We had Atlanta Falcons tickets there for a while. I know.
That's
it's rough being an Atlanta Falcons fan.
Right on.
around. Here it is. Your time at Booz Allen, is there much you can really talk about with that, or is that a something that...
I did have a security clearance.
Yeah.
I did. I had 2 clients there. I worked at NASA, and then I also worked for the Army in Army aviation. So a little bit with helicopters, but most of my time there was an unmanned aircraft. So I did the drones for them for about 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You see any aliens?
I can't talk about it.
I figured.
Saturday night we were out on the boat and just look up and Kerry goes, "Did you see that? What is that?" The Starlink satellite.
Wow. Starlink
It was pretty cool to watch them. Like, it's a whole train of them just going by.
Huh.
If you don't know what it is, like, you go, "Oh, somebody's visiting."
You saw multiple dots in the sky at night?
Yeah, it's like a train.
Yeah.
It's a long chain of satellites just cruising by. We were able to see them for like a minute, and then boom, they were gone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty cool. Apparently, there's like a whole thing where people track it and tell you when you can see it, and
Yeah.
but it was pretty cool to see it, for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's neat.
Yeah, we should check it out.
Yeah.
Charles, need to read some ChatGPT research. Now, I did have another question about the college. Now, you are excited, you are motivated about what you want to do with Winthrop and all that stuff. Now, on the other end of it, if all your plans work and everything is happening, or the college grows, is that when you start losing that small college charm, or is there a way you're going to stop it from? Is there a metric that you guys follow? Say, okay, we need to stop here because after this it's going to be a massive college. Then we're going to lose that little college charm.
I think so. There's that sweet spot.
Okay.
Right. And those are the type of institutions I've always gravitated towards because of my time at Winthrop.
Okay.
I think 8,000 is the hard stop, right? If we go over 8,000, and if you look at our facilities, we're built for 8,000 students. We have an amazing footprint. We have about 120 acres around the main campus and another 300 acres out at the farm. That's a huge footprint. So yeah, over 8,000, I think we start losing something that makes Winthrop. Yep.
So how does that affect the planning? So there's a hard for us in our business. There's no hard stop. We want to keep growing every year, double-digit, triple-digit growth. So how do you control? So what can you make better for the college other than some better streets or better housing? I don't know how it can become any better or grow larger.
So what are kind of the levers that we can pull to grow?
Yeah, without
up to 8,000
without increasing the student size, right?
Sure. So yeah, I think you talk about investment in facilities. That relevance question, right? Are we offering academic programs that are meeting emerging needs of employers, but also that resonate with students? So a lot of our work this my first year, was making data-informed decisions. We had terrible data when I got here. And as a former management consultant, I hated that. So, just looking at... Well, and the other thing is, I want to be first or among the first to something. I don't want to be the last school to do something.
Right. Now, since you're going to have a hard stop on number of students, I don't know much about how a university is operated when it comes to finances. Are most expenses are paid by the fees the students pay, or other revenue streams Winthrop can get money from to continue growing without increasing the student size?
Sure. So, obviously tuition and fees.
Right.
And it varies by state. So how much is the state giving you? The state appropriation number changes every state and changes every year. So the biggest one is definitely student fees, then your appropriations, and then your fundraising ability. So you look at a school like Harvard or with a $36 billion or $40 billion endowment, they can do some things. Ours needs some help. And so that's what we're really going to be focusing on but people want to give to a winner. People as a student want to go to a school that's winning. And now that we're starting to win and we're starting to build that traction, that's what we're building on.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yep. All right. Fantastic. Any other final thoughts?
No, again, I just appreciate y'all bringing me in. I love talking about Winthrop. Get the word out there.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks for joining in this week's episode of The Bandit Room. Stick around next week and see what we talk about.
Bandit Room is a production of Span Enterprises, located in sunny Rock Hill, South Carolina. We've been developing, supporting, and growing successful IRS e-filing and business management solutions since 2010. Go to spanenterprises.com now to learn more. The views and opinions expressed in the Bandit Room are those of the guests, and do not necessarily reflect or state the opinions of Span Enterprises. No information should be considered as tax, legal, or other professional advice.